When Ryan returned home from deployment, he expected peace, not betrayal from those he loved most. The shocking secrets he uncovered threatened his marriage, friendships, and even the lives of fellow veterans. This is a story of trust shattered, justice served, and the courage to rebuild. The heavy tires of the military transport plane skidded sharply onto the runway, jolting me awake from uneasy dreams. For a split second, my mind remained trapped in a haze of distant explosions and tense missions. I blinked several times, struggling to ground myself back into reality. The familiar scent of jet fuel and metallic equipment slowly reminded me exactly where I was. Finally back on familiar soil, though not quite yet home. It was always the same strange sensation. The relief of returning mixed with anxiety about re-entering the life ID left behind. Stepping out onto the sun-blasted tarmac, a wave of heat hit me, oppressive and in stark contrast to the controlled, sterile environment ID just left. I shielded my eyes against the brightness, automatically scanning the surroundings for potential threats, even though I knew logically that this was a safe place. Old habits never truly died. A young airman approached, offering a crisp salute. "Welcome back, Sergeant Hartwell. Glad you're home safe." I returned his salute, managing a faint smile. "Thank you. Still not sure if I can truly call this home yet, but it feels good to be back." The drive back to my suburban neighborhood was surreal. My mind swung between the harrowing moments I'd experienced just days before, defusing explosives, narrowly escaping ambushes, and the mundane scenery flashing by my car window. Billboards advertising lawn care, fast food outlets packed with families oblivious to the dangers worlds away. It was unsettling how normal everything seemed. Pulling into the driveway of my modest two-story home brought a brief feeling of relief, tempered by a nagging uncertainty. The front yard appeared neglected. Grass grown tall, flower beds Jessica once lovingly maintained now overrun with weeds. It was clear she hadn't been giving much attention to the home we'd once cherished together. The moment I stepped out of my vehicle, the front door swung open, and Jessica appeared. Backlit by the soft, welcoming glow of the hallway, she looked just as beautiful as I remembered, but something immediately felt wrong. Her smile was overly bright, a practiced expression, lacking the warmth I used to know. "You're finally back," she chirped, stepping forward to offer a quick, perfunctory kiss on my cheek. I caught the unfamiliar scent of her perfume, something heavier and far more extravagant than the simple fragrances shed favored in the past. "New perfume?" I asked casually, though a subtle unease tugged at my gut. Jessica's fingers lightly brushed her collarbone, a nervous habit shed developed years ago. "Yes, just something I picked up recently." "You like it?" I opened my mouth to reply, but she was already turning away, her attention fixed on her handbag resting nearby. A luxurious accessory that must have cost a fortune, far beyond what we could comfortably afford on my military salary. "Sorry, I've really got to run," she said hastily, grabbing her purse. "My French immersion class is starting soon." "French?" I echoed blankly, confusion creasing my brow. "Since when are you learning French?" She flashed another tight smile, eyes glancing away momentarily. "I mentioned it in my emails, Ethan. For work. New international clients, remember?" I nodded slowly, even though I knew there had been no such emails. I decombed through every message she sent during my deployment, and French classes had never come up. "Right?" I murmured, masking my doubt with a forced chuckle. Must slipped my mind. "Long mission." Jessica quickly gathered her things, her movements hurried, almost frantic. "There's dinner in the fridge if you're hungry. We'll catch up properly when I get back. Okay?" Before I could respond, she was out the door, leaving me standing alone in our entryway. A sinking feeling settled deep inside me. The homecoming ID imagined countless times during my deployment was nothing like this. Shaking off the unsettling emotions, I decided to head over to Freedom House, the local Veterans Support Center. The familiar environment always offered comfort and a sense of camaraderie. Pulling into the parking lot, I immediately recognized Calvin Reed, the director of Freedom House, who was outside greeting attendees as they arrived. Calvin spotted me and waved enthusiastically. "Ethan, Welcome back, brother. Good to see you in one piece. Good to be back, I replied, trying to sound convincing, even as a shadow lingered in my mind about Jessica's strange behavior. Calvin ushered me inside, and I quickly settled into the group therapy circle, familiar faces nodding my way in acknowledgement. As each veteran shared their struggles, PTSD nightmares, family disconnect, joblessness, I felt a sense of belonging. Their stories echoed mine in many ways, but I couldn't shake the nagging discomfort over Jessica's odd behavior and the mysterious French classes. After the session, Calvin pulled me aside, a curious expression on his face. So, how's civilian life treating you? Jessica must be happy to have you home, right? A strange tension in his tone made me hesitate. She seems busy. French classes for work, apparently. Know anything about that? Her law firm expanding internationally? Calvin's expression faltered for just a split second before he recomposed himself. French, huh? That's interesting. Well, you know these law firms always chasing the next big client. Something in his evasive manner raised more alarms. Calvin avoided eye contact, suddenly engrossed in sorting papers on his desk. Look, I've got to run. Got an early day tomorrow. We'll catch up soon though, okay? He hurried off without another word, leaving me even more unsettled. What was going on here? The man who'd always been open and straightforward suddenly couldn't look me in the eyes. On the drive home, I couldn't shake the persistent feeling that something was seriously wrong. Maybe my instincts were off after years in tense combat situations. Perhaps my imagination was playing cruel tricks. But deep down, I knew better. Jessica was hiding something and Calvin might be involved, or at least aware of what was happening. As I pulled into the driveway once more, darkness had settled over the house, casting eerie shadows around the front porch. The lights inside were still off. The home ID longed for, fought for, now felt strangely alien and unwelcoming. Sitting there alone in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel tightly, I resolved to find out exactly what was going on. No more guessing, no more evasive answers. I would uncover the truth even if I didn't like what I found. Over the following days, my mind was consumed by unanswered questions and nagging suspicions. Every interaction with Jessica seemed calculated, as though she were intentionally placing distance between us. Her schedule remained packed with mysterious evening appointments, conveniently labeled as French lessons. The unease in my chest grew heavier each day, refusing to fade despite my desperate attempts to rationalize her behavior. Determined to find clarity, I attended the charity gala at the Meridian Hotel, an event organized annually by Freedom House. It was a gathering I'd normally avoid, uncomfortable in a formal setting, but tonight it offered an opportunity. Jessica had promised she'd be there, though once again she was running late. Entering the glittering ballroom filled with sharp suits and elegant dresses, I felt immediately out of place. My military uniform, a symbol of honor and pride on most days, felt strangely constrictive amid the sophisticated crowd. I scanned the sea of faces, seeking any glimpse of Jessica, but she was nowhere to be found. Hovering near the bar, I overheard snippets of conversation drifting through the air. Gossip about extravagant purchases, whispered speculations of hidden affairs, and observations about an attorney's new expensive taste. Each hushed exchange deepened the knot forming in my stomach, as though the whispers were aimed directly at Jessica. I ordered a drink, seeking temporary relief, when Alex Donovan approached. A former squad mate, Alex was visibly intoxicated, eyes glazed with both alcohol and something else. Discomfort, perhaps guilt. Without preamble, he mentioned seeing Jessica at the Bellevue Hotel days earlier, accompanied by a man he didn't recognize, clearly not me. As quickly as Head revealed this explosive detail, Alex retreated, stumbling back into the crowd, leaving me reeling with shock. Moments later, Jessica appeared, her radiant beauty and expensive attire clashing starkly with the turmoil brewing inside me. She offered an effortless excuse about her late arrival, mentioning yet another lesson. The sweetness of her smile felt hollow, masking hidden truths and unspoken betrayals. Unable to ignore the relentless warnings in my mind, I spent the next morning meticulously reviewing our financial records. My hands shook slightly as I traced each withdrawal labeled vaguely as tuition fees. Each deduction was substantial, far exceeding any reasonable cost for simple language lessons. A cold dread spread through me as I dialed the number of Sunrise Language Academy, desperately seeking confirmation. My heart sank lower when the polite receptionist informed me gently but firmly that Jessica Bennett wasn't enrolled at their institute. Feeling my reality unravel, I reached out to Riley Monroe, a skilled private investigator recommended by trusted contacts. Riley agreed to meet discreetly at a small cafe on the edge of town, away from prying eyes. Her efficient manner and piercing gaze reassured me that if anyone could uncover the hidden truths, it would be her. She carefully listened, absorbing every detail as I handed her all my evidence, the USB containing bank statements and questionable records. Days later, Riley returned with unsettling discoveries. Jessica's supposed French teacher was Lucas Takahashi, not an instructor but a powerful tech investor linked to troubling financial scandals. Riley's investigations also uncovered alarming connections to Jerome Carter, my trusted friend and director at Freedom House, who appeared deeply involved in fraudulent activities. Even Caroline Maddox, Jessica's high-profile attorney friend, had her fingerprints all over shady offshore transactions. The revelation cut deep, betrayal cascading from those I trusted most. I sat motionless, Riley's words echoing endlessly in my ears. Trust, loyalty, cornerstones of my life and career, crumbled around me, replaced by a landscape of deception. In the quiet solitude of my car later that night, parked at the end of an empty street, I wrestled with the crushing reality ID uncovered. I remembered the bond ID shared with Jerome, a brotherhood forged through trials of combat and survival. How could someone I respected so profoundly betray not only me but countless veterans who depended on Freedom House? Jessica's betrayal felt equally devastating but somehow different, more personal. Her lies weren't merely about infidelity but involved using our shared life to mask far deeper corruption. The woman ID once cherished was now a stranger entangled in a web far darker than ID imagined possible. Grief briefly overwhelmed me, mingling with anger and confusion. But beneath it all stirred something else. A familiar sensation honed over years of dangerous missions and high-stakes situations. Determination. The truth had wounded me deeply, yet it had also awakened a purpose stronger than any ID felt before. Sitting there in the darkness, clarity returned. I knew what had to be done. The betrayal that had shaken my world to its core would not break me. It had forged within me a resolve more powerful than ever. They'd underestimated me, each believing I'd remain oblivious or powerless. But I would prove them wrong, dismantling their deception piece by careful piece, no matter the cost. In the aftermath of Riley's revelations, I withdrew into methodical isolation. My days became consumed with careful, silent observation. My evenings were dedicated to meticulous research, delving into every available record connected to Freedom House and those I once trusted implicitly. The deeper I ventured, the clearer the disturbing pattern became. Corruption wasn't merely an anomaly. It was systematically woven through the very fabric of the organization I had believed represented integrity. Jerome Carter had been carefully orchestrating an operation that preyed upon vulnerable veterans, funneling funds intended for support programs into a labyrinth of offshore accounts. Each transaction I traced added another layer of betrayal, another reason to trust no one. Caroline Maddox's name appeared consistently, her legal expertise artfully masking illegal activities behind complex financial maneuvers. Each piece of evidence weighed heavily on me, sharpening my resolve to end the exploitation. At night, sleep eluded me. Instead, I paced restlessly, replaying every memory of Jerome and Caroline, searching fruitlessly for missed signs of deceit. Jerome had saved my life more than once during deployment. Now, I struggled to reconcile that bravery with the betrayal I'd uncovered. Caroline, always poised and persuasive, had skillfully manipulated the legal system to protect their secrets. It was difficult to fathom that those who had stood shoulder to shoulder with me could betray the very people they once swore to protect. In these dark hours, Lucas Takahashi emerged as a shadowy figure at the center of it all. Riley's deeper dig into his background revealed troubling connections extending far beyond the surface. His tech investment firm was a facade for illegal dealings, including money laundering and corporate espionage. Lucas wielded influence through financial leverage and intimidation, his reach stretching into corners of power previously thought untouchable. The presence of such a dangerous individual so close to Jessica intensified my anxiety, propelling me to act swiftly. Determined to dismantle the web of corruption, I quietly reached out to Alex Donovan, hoping to enlist his assistance. Alex, despite his struggles, was still a soldier at heart, loyal to the ideals we'd once shared. His agreement to help gave me a small but crucial measure of reassurance. Together, we discreetly contacted trusted contacts within law enforcement and intelligence communities, outlining the situation carefully, building a credible case without prematurely tipping our hand. Simultaneously, I kept my interactions with Jessica minimal, careful not to betray my growing knowledge. Each superficial conversation tested my restraint, every casual remark reminding me of the double life she led. Her late returns home, laden with expensive gifts she claimed were business perks, no longer fooled me. Each purchase, each excuse, now carried painful significance, a tangible reminder of betrayal. One evening, after Jessica left for another so-called lesson, I entered her home office, my pulse quickening with adrenaline. Careful not to disturb anything visibly, I searched for tangible evidence, something indisputable to support our growing legal case. My attention was drawn to a locked drawer, prompting me to retrieve a hidden spare key ID discovered days earlier. Inside, I found a small stack of documents neatly arranged, confidential contracts, financial statements, and encrypted flash drives. Each document provided further confirmation of Jessica's involvement in illicit activities. My heart grew heavier as I cataloged each item, meticulously photographing the pages and duplicating digital files for safekeeping. Riley and Alex proved instrumental in decoding the contents of the encrypted drives. Files revealed disturbing exchanges between Jessica, Lucas, and Jerome, explicitly detailing their scheme to exploit veteran support initiatives as fronts for criminal enterprises. Their cold, calculated language described veterans not as people but as assets, commodities to be leveraged and discarded at will. With each new piece of information, my resolve deepened. The people I'd once considered my closest confidants were now adversaries in a silent war for justice. It became evident that exposing the truth publicly was necessary to dismantle their operations fully. The emotional toll was profound, yet I couldn't allow sentimentality to cloud my judgment. My responsibility extended beyond personal feelings. It was a duty to every veteran whose trust had been violated. As painful as the process was, it became increasingly clear that decisive public action was necessary to halt further damage. Gathering the amassed evidence, I met again with Riley and Alex to finalize our strategy. We prepared to deliver our findings to authorities, setting the stage for a reckoning that would shake the foundation of their deceitful empire. Each step was carefully plotted to ensure those responsible would be held accountable without escape. Standing at this critical juncture, I felt both grief and unwavering determination. I had entered unfamiliar territory, driven by betrayal, guided by integrity. The path forward was clear, albeit fraught with personal sacrifice. The truth would no longer remain hidden. Justice demanded action, and I was prepared to see it through, no matter the cost. With the evidence compiled meticulously, the stage was now set for a confrontation. Every detail had been carefully calculated to ensure maximum impact. My home, once a sanctuary, had transformed into the epicenter of impending revelation and justice. The familiar rooms now felt charged, heavy with anticipation of the truths soon to unfold. The evening chosen for the meeting arrived swiftly, and I stood calmly by the window, watching dusk envelop the quiet street outside. Each guest invited tonight believed they were attending a casual gathering to discuss new opportunities, unaware they were walking directly into an orchestrated reckoning. My pulse remained steady, a calmness cultivated from years of handling high-pressure situations. Jessica was the first to arrive, appearing flawlessly composed yet subtly anxious. Her manner had become more guarded recently, as though sensing an impending shift. I welcomed her neutrally, suppressing the storm of emotions churning beneath the surface. Jerome and Caroline soon joined, each carrying themselves confidently, unaware of the trap carefully laid before them. Jerome's casual bravado grated against my nerves, a stark reminder of how effortlessly he had manipulated trust. Caroline remained impeccably professional, her demeanor masking the unethical decisions she'd hidden expertly for so long. Lucas Takahashi entered last, projecting a disconcerting air of authority and ease. His presence filled the room with unspoken menace, a stark contrast to the other's subtle unease. His eyes scanned the surroundings, clearly assessing the gathering for any irregularities, yet failing to sense the full depth of what awaited. As conversations flowed superficially around the room, I maintained an outward appearance of engagement, while internally rehearsing each step of our meticulously crafted plan. Every movement, every word, was calculated to draw out admissions and expose their web of deceit. Guiding the group into my study under the pretext of privacy, I initiated the discussion, subtly steering Lucas toward revealing his proposed expansions into veteran recruitment. Encouraged by his own confidence, Lucas spoke openly, clearly unaware of the discreet cameras capturing every incriminating detail. Caroline sensed the risk, attempting subtly to curtail Lucas's revelations. Her caution, however, came too late. Jerome grew visibly uncomfortable as Lucas detailed their operations, implicating them all in a network of manipulation and exploitation. Jessica visibly paled, her earlier composure fracturing under the undeniable weight of guilt. When sufficient evidence had been recorded, I excused myself briefly under the guise of an urgent phone call. In reality, I discreetly signaled Riley Monroe, positioned nearby with surveillance equipment, that our objective had been achieved. Her acknowledgement came swiftly, confirmation that everything had been clearly documented. Returning to the room, I subtly noted Jerome anxiously checking his phone, his concern evident. Unknown to him, every communication attempt had been intercepted and nullified by Riley's expert countermeasures. The net around them was tight, escape now impossible. With calculated precision, I revealed the true purpose of our gathering, activating a large screen displaying irrefutable evidence against them. Their reactions varied starkly. Jerome slumped in defeat, Caroline struggled to maintain a defiant exterior, Lucas's mask of confidence shattered into visible panic, and Jessica appeared genuinely remorseful for the first time. The final act of the evening commenced swiftly as law enforcement, informed well in advance, surrounded the residence. Officers entered smoothly, their presence authoritative and decisive. Lucas attempted a desperate escape but was quickly subdued, the threat of his influence crumbling instantly. As each individual was escorted away, I met Jessica's gaze briefly, recognizing genuine regret within her tear-filled eyes. It brought no comfort, only profound sadness at the irreversible consequences of her choices. After the house emptied, leaving me alone amid echoes of betrayal and justice, I experienced a complex relief. The task had been difficult, painful, yet necessary. The betrayal had stripped away illusions, leaving clarity and purpose in their place. In the silence of my now unfamiliar home, a quiet determination solidified within me. The dismantling of corruption was just the beginning. Ahead lay the greater challenge: rebuilding trust, ensuring accountability, and protecting the vulnerable veterans who relied upon genuine support. Standing alone amidst the quiet aftermath, I felt no joy in victory, only solemn resolve. The path forward promised challenges, yet I was prepared. Betrayal had tested me, truth had strengthened me, and justice had given me a purpose clearer than ever before. In the months following the dramatic exposure, life settled into a rhythm of constant legal proceedings and community restoration efforts. My days blurred into an endless cycle of testifying at court hearings, participating in investigative interviews, and collaborating closely with authorities to ensure thorough prosecution. Each day was emotionally taxing, yet profoundly meaningful. The once hidden corruption had been thrust into the light, and justice was steadily prevailing. Jerome Carter accepted a plea agreement, providing crucial insights into the extensive criminal network. His cooperation revealed even deeper layers of deceit, extending beyond Freedom House, implicating individuals and institutions previously untouched. Caroline Maddox faced professional disgrace, her legal career irrevocably destroyed by evidence of her unethical conduct. Lucas Takahashi, once powerful and untouchable, now awaited sentencing, stripped of influence and connections. Jessica's trial was particularly difficult, a stark reminder of personal betrayal mingling painfully with professional integrity. Seeing her in court, visibly diminished and remorseful, was heartbreaking yet necessary. The sentencing concluded with justice served, yet it brought no personal satisfaction, only quiet resolution. Amidst the trials, my dedication turned toward rebuilding trust within the veteran community. The original Freedom House, tainted by corruption, was dissolved, replaced by a newly founded Haven Center. Established firmly upon principles of transparency, accountability, and genuine support, it quickly became a beacon of hope and healing. Riley Monroe became an essential ally, bringing expertise in cybersecurity and vigilance in ethical oversight. Her presence was both reassuring and inspiring, fostering an environment where veterans felt genuinely protected. Over long days and shared goals, our professional relationship deepened into sincere camaraderie and mutual respect. The grand opening of Haven Center marked a significant milestone. Standing before veterans, their families, and the community at large, I spoke candidly about past failures and future commitments. The speech resonated deeply, setting a collective intention toward integrity and resilience. As time passed, rebuilding became less about confronting betrayal and more about fostering a thriving, secure community. Under Riley's guidance, cutting-edge transparency protocols and rigorous financial oversight mechanisms were established, ensuring the mistakes of the past could never recur. Together, we built a center renowned for its compassionate care and steadfast dedication to veteran support. With each success story, each veteran who reclaimed stability, purpose, and hope, I felt the wounds of personal betrayal gradually healing. Jessica's memory, though painful, softened over time, reshaped by understanding and forgiveness rather than bitterness. Jerome and Caroline's betrayals faded into cautionary tales, reinforcing the importance of vigilance and ethical accountability. Lucas Takahashi's sentencing marked the final legal chapter. The lengthy prison term he received offered closure, affirming that no individual, regardless of power or influence, stood above justice. The conclusion of this painful chapter allowed me to fully embrace the purpose born from adversity, dedicating myself entirely to advocacy and protection for veterans. Gradually, friendship with Riley evolved naturally into deeper companionship. Our shared experiences, grounded in trust and mutual respect, blossomed quietly. With Riley, vulnerability felt safe, her strength complementing mine effortlessly. In her companionship, I rediscovered trust and affection, feelings I'd thought irretrievably lost. Standing together at Haven Center one evening, observing a community event thriving with laughter and genuine camaraderie, I felt profound gratitude. The journey had been immensely painful, marked by betrayal, loss, and sorrow. Yet it led inevitably to renewal and strength. The scars remained, reminders of what had been overcome, yet they no longer defined me. The past had provided lessons hard-earned, shaping an unbreakable resolve to protect, serve, and build trust anew. Looking around, seeing veterans thriving and secure, I understood fully that adversity, handled with integrity, could lead to profound growth. As Riley's hand quietly slipped into mine, a gesture filled with warmth and silent understanding, I experienced deep peace. Together, we had confronted darkness, choosing light. Betrayal had tested us profoundly, yet it was integrity, perseverance, and unity that ultimately defined our journey. With clarity born from hardship, I knew without doubt that our efforts had established lasting change, protecting future generations of veterans from exploitation. The sun dipped gently below the horizon, casting soft hues of orange and purple across the sky, symbolizing beautifully the end of one chapter and the hopeful, enduring promise of the next.